58, chasing the lights. Both had battles that brought them low, but they found a way to steal the show. Health concerns were weighing them down till they found a path that turned it around. Carnivore diet, they took the leap, finding strength in the promises they keep. Now they're living wild, living free, healing body and mind, just wait and see. Tune into the truth every single week. Real talk with Brian and Johnny, that's the peak. 8 p.m. on YouTube, gather near, uplifting vibes, let's give a cheer.
All right, hello. We've got Rick with us tonight. We need to do a new intro for when Rick's here with us. You know?
That's right. We need to make a whole new one.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Yeah. It's good to see everybody. Rick, how are you doing?
Pretty good. It's been a hectic day. I had a unexpected job I had to do, but I did get here in time, and I'm happy about that.
All right. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing really good, Brian. Really, really good. Looking forward to tonight's show. How about
we're
you?
going to say hi to some people in the chat. Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're going to say hi to some people in the chat. Linda's here. Hello. Greg, my weight loss life. Good to see him, Greg. Hello. Peter, Papa Carnivore. Good evening.
Quack.
Lewis is here. Hello.
You're in the right place.
Peter's here.
Lizzie. Terry girl.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Juliet.
Hello.
Carnivore Jerry's here.
Howdy, howdy.
That's right.
Steadfast. I'm not sure Steadfast's name, so I'm sorry. I'll just say Steadfast. Do you guys know her name? No? I don't know.
I do.
Okay. This is a good name. Eat a ham bone. From Goose Creek, South Carolina.
That's not too terrible far from me.
So Goose Creek is, if that's where I think it is it sort of near Charleston?
Mm-hmm. Down that way.
I am going to be down in that area next week for Thanksgiving at my daughter's. What's it called? Somerville. Yes. Bride's Biscuit is here.
Hey, Bride's Biscuit.
Carnivore Muscle. That's Jonathan, right?
That is Jonathan.
All
about
right.
Jonathan.
Paul is here.
Out of Paul.
Let's see. Did I get everybody? Yes, all the carnivore quacks are here tonight.
That's right.
That's right. And we got the head quack with us.
Sherry Ray, I believe. Hello. Okay, so yes, Eat a Ham Bone says I'm between Somerville and North Charleston. Okay, so that is over by Somerville. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, Thomas is here. Target Prime Rib.
Hey, Thomas.
All right, so we got quite a few people here already. If you have any questions for us, or for probably if you have questions more so for Rick, go ahead and put a capital Q in the front. And let's see. So Rick, this past weekend, you got to go to Hack Your Health in Tampa, and I know that was your first meetup.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've talked a little bit about it already. You were on with Dr. Nelson yesterday, but why don't you tell us a little bit about the event?
Well, as you know, I'm someone that doesn't like to travel. I haven't left Miami in 20 years. So the last time that I went out of town, it was for an ISC West convention in Las Vegas. And I've been to several of these conventions, and I don't know if it's really a meetup, but it's like when you go for different technology. At that time, it was like electronics and DVRs and all that. And you go there, maybe you know a couple of people, no one really knows you. Or if maybe you go to a business seminar or something like that, and you listen to different people and you never really interact with them. That's kind of what I would expect. But Hack Your Health was completely different because, first of all, it was my friend Russ Mitchell, and we all know him from Keto Cookout, that arranged this and made it happen. So, and he wasn't able to attend because of business issues, which was kind of a disappointment. But he did pick me up from the bus terminal, got me the hotel room. And then after that, I mean, we went together to eat at Dr. Kiltz's dinner at the Brazilian Steakhouse. And then from then on, it was basically up to me to do what I wanted. And I went there, and it was a 3-day event. So I got there on Friday, I left there on Sunday. I got to meet people that we know really well, some of the more famous ones. Like, for example, I always wanted to meet Dr. Sean Baker. And I finally got to meet Dr. Sean Baker, and I answered a question that many people have asked me that I didn't know. Which one of us is taller, Rick or Dr. Sean Baker? And guess who was the taller one?
Rick.
That's right. Rick is taller than Dr. Sean Baker. And
Wow.
just like I expected, Dr. Sean Baker knew exactly who I was. He said, "Hello, Rick." So you have someone that has, I don't know, thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, and he knew who Rick was. And I'm sure he's interviewed a lot of people. So right there, that was pretty good. And then, of course, I got to meet Dr. Kiltz, which, again, I've been on his channel many times. Dr. Nelson, he was the very first person to meet me when I got into Hack Your Health, because I'm trying to remember the two, I forget their names, that were actually giving out the badges to get registered in there, to get set up. But Dr. Nelson was the first one to come up and say hello to me. That was the first picture I took, was with me and Dr. Nelson. And then after that, it was just one after the other. I got to meet a lot of my friends that were there, and I had a good experience. I didn't have one person mad at me. Everybody was happy to see me. And even the more popular ones, they know who I am. That's the funny thing. And I did not expect that.
Wow. Your reach is far and wide, Rick.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Which is
So
why
we have
I
a
asked you the
question for
I
you.
did. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
So there's a question. You talked about the Brazilian steakhouse. So the question is, who ate the most steak?
Well, I would have eaten more if there weren't so many people there, but I did eat. I mean, you have Mike Seeley that has a reputation for eating a lot, that Mitch had mentioned, but I think I ate as much as he did, maybe a little more. I do believe that I probably ate the most at the Brazilian Steakhouse, the Tarragacha Steakhouse.
Nice. All right. I'm sorry,
Rick,
Johnny. What were you going to say?
I was just going to ask Rick, had you ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse before that?
The last time I was there was last November when Russ Mitchell came to Miami, and he took me to the Brazilian Steakhouse down the street. That was the first time I'd ever been to one. This is the second time.
Yeah. I've never been to one. Do they just really keep bringing you meat as long as you order it?
As long as you have your either little thing that says yes, or you have the little light on, they'll keep bringing meats. Now, they try to give you the chicken and the pork and the cheap meats first, but you just have to hold out, and they'll eventually bring the ribeye and the sirloin cap, and they have a lot of the tougher cuts. For example, the shoulder, the what do they call that? Top round or whatever. But that's okay. I mean, I eat that too. But I avoided chicken. I don't go to a Brazilian steakhouse to eat chicken. And the problem is, out of every place I've ever been, no one makes chicken as delicious as Rick's Heart Attack Chicken. Rick's Heart Attack Chicken is the only chicken I'll eat.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. So, Johnny, I've been to a couple of Brazilian steakhouses, and basically what you don't have to order anything. Like they will ask you if you want something specific, like medium rare or something in a certain cut of meat. But basically, they go around to all the tables with something that they just literally pulled off the, off the grill or whatever that they're cooking on, and see who wants some, and they just cut you some. So it works great.
Cool.
It's like a carnivore's dream going to a Brazilian steakhouse, let me tell you.
And the best thing is I got to eat with a lot of people, some of them that comment on my channel, some of them that I watch their channel, and a lot of people recognize me. This is what really I couldn't believe. I didn't know I was that well known.
Well, Rick, you're a 42-year carnivore. I mean, really, everybody in this space ought to know who you are. And I think
everybody knows you.
Yeah, probably I would be willing to bet. And I mean, this community is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but probably 80 to 90% of the people, if they saw a picture of you, they would immediately know that's Rick. Because you've put yourself out there. You're on all these different channels. You've been interviewed by all these people. Your story is, it's incredible. People say, well, long term, this will kill you. Say, no, let me tell you about my friend Rick. It's called Charger Mopar. And if you think this is going to kill me in 10 years, this guy's been doing it for 42 years, and we're essentially the same age. And he's never had the health issues that I fought my whole life. So you tell me how this is bad. So, Rick, you're the one that we all use for justification that we can do this, long term.
If you want to get a good laugh, I was installing a central air conditioner today. And basically, I pick up the box out of the back of my van. I put it on the ground. I wheel it in there in myself. I pick it up. I put it up on the concrete slab. And they're looking at me. Do you need help? I'm like, no, I don't need help. I'll take care of this. I do the whole thing by myself. You don't have any issues with your back? No, I don't have the problem. So and then the funny thing is someone actually at the meetup that says he can judge ages very well because they had a little VIP area and I went there. So I asked him, how old do you think I am? 42. Like, nope.
Yeah.
57. And that's like the fourth person that guessed that way. I had somebody today think that I was 41.
Yeah. So when they see you lifting these really heavy things, they have no idea that you're darn near 60. Your next big milestone birthday, just 2 years from now, is going to be 60. And
Right?
38, 40-year-old guys doing pretty good. They have no idea because, and I see this in my line of work. Most men in America, unfortunately, that are 60, not all, but a good portion, would never, ever be able to do 10% of what you can do. But they haven't eaten the way you've eaten for 42 years either.
That's true. And that's the thing that I never really thought about. You know how time goes by very, very quickly. Yeah, I think 20 years ago was 2005 was the last time that I had gone out of town. And I start thinking back, it's like, man, the time really went by, but I don't feel it. I'm not one of those persons that, oh, my back and oh, my feet hurt and oh, my shoulder and this and that. No, I don't have any of that. So yeah, I think definitely the diet is important because I work physically all the time. I carry heavy toolboxes and tools and parts and everything, and it doesn't bother me. And then I go to bed, I wake up in the morning, I'm fine. People come home from work, oh, I'm tired, and they plop in front of the TV. Not me. I go straight to the kitchen, start cooking, take my bath, whatever. And I don't get tired until the light goes out, and then boom, I'm asleep. And then I'll be out for 6, 7, 8 hours and then wake up. It's like, oh, time for another day. My friends, they got to go and they got to grab the coffee. Oh, I'm getting up. And then they go to the kitchen and they got the coffee pot. They have to drink 2 cups of coffee to really get going. And it's like it's like letting the engine warm up. They really don't get going. And me, it's just like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Wow. And so people like Brian and I, that's kind of where we're at now. But like me, I spent 30 years being like your friends, and the last 2 years being more like you. It's what a blessing it is to be my age. I think we figured I'm almost a year older than you or 10 months older than you. So we're almost the same age. Mm-hmm. And that's why I am now. I mean, I don't have back pain. My back used to hurt every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I had back pain, depending on how severe it was. Go carnivore, cut the crap out of my diet, start moving. And the reason I started doing all the exercises and stuff I do, the sprints and the push-ups, is because I have so much energy and I feel so good. If I didn't move my body and do something physical, I would never get to sleep. I have this
Right.
energy that I have to burn off. And I'm blessed
Mhm.
that I find, working out, lifting weights, jumping rope, sprints, things that I really enjoy doing. And I have the body now to do it. So even if haven't been that way your whole life, like Rick has been, even if you're 51 like Brian or 58 like me, it's never too late to get what Rick has, what Rick's lived his whole life, and what Brian and I and most people on here probably experience. Just life at 100%. Versus life at 20%.
Right. And I've never
Mm.
been on a prescription med.
Well, I'm not on any anymore, but I was for a long, long time. And the thing about it is that all the meds I took, Rick, they never worked. I took 3 blood pressure pills and still had high blood pressure. It never worked.
A friend of mine reminded me a couple days ago. He says, Rick, do you realize that next year will make 30 years since you've been to a doctor? And I thought about it like, yeah, you're right. It's crazy.
Wow.
And it'll be 40 years since I went to a dentist.
Wow.
Mm.
Can you imagine if everybody was like me, what would happen to the medical system?
Yeah. A lot of people would be out of jobs.
That's
Like
right.
me, Rick, I would be out of a job, but I would be okay with it. I'd find something else to do, but I would be out of a job because I take care of really sick people who are getting younger and younger and younger.
But see, that's what really bothers me. Everybody thinks that when you're over 40 or over 50, you're basically done. And I try to explain to them that's not the way that it works. We take about 20 years to grow up. Why would we take 40 years to die? It just doesn't make sense. At the very worst case, I would imagine you would be strong until 70, and then you would decline until 90 and then drop dead. That would make sense because the rate that you go up should be the same as the rate you go down. Why is it that you go up, level a little bit, and then and start falling apart? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly.
Yep. It's all metabolic disease. So I've got something I've been waiting for like a week. I found this and I just have it's a picture. I just have to share it. So let me get it really quickly. I've been waiting for Rick to be on here with us so that I can share it. So let me find it. And I need to find out anyways if this is true or if this is just a joke. But here we go. Let's see, is it sharing? There we go. Falling iguanas. Is that true or is that just a joke?
It is possible, but it is not probable. In the early days, we had a long stretch where we didn't have any cold weather. Then we got cold weather, and then iguanas fell out of trees. Normally, what happens with iguanas, when the weather cools down at a regular pace, they go into the ground. So they know not to be outside when the weather's cold. But let's say that it was in the 80s one day, and then you had a sudden cold front. Well, if the cold front comes during the day, because at nighttime, a lot of times iguanas go in the ground. But if the cold front comes during the day, they'll be up in the trees. And then when the temperature goes about 50 or less, they just sort of paralyze them and they lose their grip on the tree and they fall down. And I had that happen years ago. That was one time. It was like wonderful because I was picking up iguanas all over the place. It was like a free buffet, all you can eat. But it does happen. It just doesn't happen often.
All right. So at least now I know. But that picture was just perfect. When I saw that, I was like, I gotta, take a quick copy paste of this or whatever, because I gotta share it with Rick. All right. We do have a couple questions here for you, Rick. First one from Terry. Did you try the dry duck yet?
No, I have it in the refrigerator. I got it. It was one of the little gift things they gave us at Hack Your Health. And it also came with some tortilla chips that were made with organic corn or whatever, because it's a keto. I don't even know. That's not a keto food, but I had a friend of mine that loves tortilla chips. So I gave it to him as a gift. I told him, give me the bag back because I'm going to use it in my video. Well, he ate those tortilla chips and he told me they're some of the best he's ever had because the only ingredients, organic corn, salt, and beef tallow. That was it. So, and he says, I'm going to see how much these things are. He thought about buying some. I'm like, well, it came from the Hack Your Health conference. And I have some other things too. I have some sea salt, a water bottle, a couple other little things they gave me. But no, I haven't tried the dry duck yet. I was thinking about waiting until next week for Russ's keto cookout because he got one also.
Okay.
Rick, I saw a picture you shared on online. I think on one of your videos, whatever. It was you standing like with 7 or 8 people. Y'all were standing there. You were on the far left hand side. You're 6'6", and I think the next tallest person was probably 5'6".
Yep.
That was a great picture.
Well, I think in that picture, I don't know if that was a Dr. Nelson. I think Carrie was in that picture too.
He was. Carrie was in it, and Dr. Nelson and Dr. Kiltz was in it.
That was the one thing I noticed. I didn't realize how short Carrie was because when I saw him, I was like, wow, I thought he was a lot bigger than that. But the thing is, he was a lot better looking too. So he's better looking in person. A lot of the carnivore personalities are better looking in person than they are on video. And I know a lot of times with celebrities, it's the opposite because I guess they're so heavily makeup and whatever. And you see them in person, they don't look as good. But with these carnivore personalities, I was really impressed. You know, I guess you're dealing with the healthiest people. So no wonder they look so good. And he had his wife, Jen. They both look great. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I definitely noticed that you were towering over everybody in all those pictures.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to find the picture with me and Dr. Baker and Dr. Nelson. That's the best one.
Looks like the two of y'all had a baby.
Yeah, right?
All right, we got a couple more questions here. This one is from Frank. Would you ever challenge Dr. Baker in an arm wrestle?
Not a chance.
I mean, who would?
No.
Maybe Dr. Anthony Chafee.
The only thing I would challenge him in is a sprint because even though he's a lot stronger than me, I think I could beat him. Because remember, it's like, let's say school bus racing 69 Charger. I'm the 69 Charger. I don't have as much power, but I'm a lot less weight.
Right. So the whole weight to horsepower ratio comes in there.
Yes. I think I could outrun him. I think. Then again, I mean, in a sprint, he may get past me because of all the muscle that he's got for the first 100 feet. But I think I'd kick in after that because I am very fast. If you see me chase an iguana, and I'm really good at catching them, I got good maneuverability. The iguanas have a hard time getting away from me. You saw me with the bicycle catching the iguana.
No, yeah.
Yep. All right. Next question. Did the lard cooked potato chips go over well at Hack Your Health?
I saw a lot of people eating them. I didn't eat them because I hate potatoes. I think they're disgusting. But I saw a lot of people eating them, and I don't know if they were in lard or beef tallow, I don't even know why they're at Hack Your Health because that's not a keto food. But I guess if you pay for a booth, you can be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody I remember saying more recently, and I don't remember if this was Dr. Nelson or somebody, but they said that the whole carnivore keto community has kind of taken over Hack Your Health, but it really originally was just more of a for your health type of thing and wasn't necessarily geared specifically to keto. So maybe that's why. But yeah, I agree that that's kind of interesting. Lard potato chips. Let's see. I don't think I see any more questions, so I think we're catch up there. Oh, here you go. Bride's Biscuit says they were actually tallow.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's the traditional way of making potato chips anyway. But then again, I make my own version of French fries and potato chips, but I don't use potatoes because on my heart attack diet, there's no raw leaves, no stems, no roots, and no seeds. And potatoes are a root. So even though it's a tuber, I consider it a root. But if I do make fries, I make them out of plantains, which is a fruit.
Okay.
So Rick, at the Hack Your Health, what surprised you the most? I mean, obviously you said you were surprised that so many people recognized you. Was there anything else that stood out that was surprising, be it good or bad, or something that you really didn't expect, maybe with some of the people there or the events that went on? What was your takeaway overall from the event?
I'll tell you what I was surprised when you go to one of the, like you go to the ballroom and you have somebody make a presentation, they do have visual aids, but most of them, some of them used an outline. I know that Dr. Berg had an outline, but Dr. Kiltz didn't seem to have one. And some, I think Dr. Boz, some of the people there did not use an outline. They were just going from the slides, and in their mind, they knew exactly what they're going to say. The presenters that you find at Hack Your Health don't use a lot of spacer words like and ah. They seem to be very focused. They seem to be on track. And they only gave you about 40 minutes. So you have to kind of rush through it. And they all seem to end on time. And I know a lot of times when you go to these seminars and these groups, you're going to have people that run overtime or they're going to get lost. But no one there ever seemed to get lost. And the other thing, too, you see people going up in the exhibitor area from booth to booth. And it just seemed like everybody was in a good mood. People were talking to each other and they were moving around. They're looking at, hey, did you check out that booth over there? And it just seemed different than your typical convention. It's just, there's like an enthusiasm there that I haven't seen anywhere else.
Wow.
Isn't that great though? The community is so great.
It is.
I
had no idea.
And I think I heard somebody else say that it's completely different than like if you go to a vegan event, they say that they're all like competing with each other and so forth. And like you said, this is completely different.
I can tell you from experience because my vegan friends years ago took me to a vegan event at the Coconut Grove Convention Center before they tore it down. And it was the most dysfunctional place I've ever been because everyone was trying. They had people with displays. They'd make noises. They would use balloons and smoke and all kinds of things to try to get people to check out their product. And then they would trash the other one and say, well, that's no good. Mine is sourced from better ingredients. And it's like this whole competition. The funny thing too, is that when you see the people speak at a vegan event, they lose their train of thought very quickly. They may talk about something and then they have to look back at their notes. And it's totally different. It's just a whole different attitude.
Yeah.
I know on one of the pictures, Rick, I think you put a comment under it that said, everybody in this picture is somebody that I consider a dear friend or something along those lines. I know I'm screwing that up a little bit, but it feels like to me from the outside looking in, you came away with a newfound appreciation and love and respect, for lack of a better term, that a lot of these people, and then that's the way I felt. I went to one meetup in Charlotte about a year and a half ago, and I met Dr. Kiltz, Kelly Hogan, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, several, and they were just so, they weren't like unapproachable. I was able to go up and introduce myself. And, at the time my channel had 200 subs, maybe. Most of them were family that didn't even watch, but they treated me like I was, part of the family. And that really, really blew me away.
Well, that was one thing when I was over there and I talked to Kerry, I told him, I said, this doesn't feel like a Hack Your Health event. It feels more like a family reunion. So that was the impression that I got.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
You think you go to another event, Rick? If one's down there in Florida in your area, would you like to go to another one?
Well, there's supposed to be another one of these next year. I will probably go. We'll see. And I think Dr. Kiltz was going to have some get together at a steakhouse, but it's pretty far. I would hope maybe somebody will put together a Southeast Florida meetup somewhere between Miami and maybe Boca Raton. I can make that. That's not too bad. So
Sure.
Hopefully there will be something here. But yes, if I'm able to go, if I can afford to go, I'll go. If I can't afford to go, I won't go. But in this case, It didn't cost me anything except bus fare. Everybody helped me out, paid for my tickets, paid for my food. So I basically paid for the hotel room. All I had to do, I spent about $100 and something in transportation, and that's it. And I can deal with that. That's not bad. And,
yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to go. I can't wait till I get to go to my next one. I'm sure there'll be one. I'm supposed to have one in Charlotte next year. There's a young girl. She was there. Aaliyah, I think his name is Aali. She's only like 17 years old.
She was in Dr. Kiltz booth.
Yeah. She lives close to me. I think she lives just across the bridge in South Carolina. But this girl's like 17 or 18 years old, and she's putting together one for us for next year, and I offered to MC it or to host or to, whatever I can do to help. So, because I actually ended up MCing the one in Charlotte because I have such a booming voice, and the sound system they had was a little underpowered. So I took over. They asked me to, and I was happy. So I MC'd the last one. But yeah, I would be glad to help. And this, like Brian said, the community is just so amazing.
Yeah, that's nice. So we got another question here for you. Which YouTube personality at the Quack Your Health conference surprised you the most?
Believe it or not, the one that surprised me the most was Dr. Berg. I had no idea that he was that tall. I thought that he was shorter, but he did surprise me. And he said hello to me. Now, I didn't know who I was, but I said hello to him and shook his hand. But yeah, I had no idea that he was that tall.
I've been watching Dr. Berg for probably 5 years on YouTube. Even before I got into this, when I was doing keto before and fasting and stuff, I've been watching his content for a long time.
It's about as long as I've seen him.
So, Johnny, question, you said January for Charlotte?
No, I think it's going to be a little bit later in the year. I'll have to look up. I'll look real quick on here, but I think it's going to be a little bit later in the year. Not quite in the wintertime. Give me a minute. Y'all keep talking. I'll look it up on Aaliyah. I think her name's Aaliyah. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
but
I think
she's putting it all together.
Yeah,
it's AA. Let's see, AA.
Thomas says he had her on his channel once. She's 16 or 17 years old.
Unbelievable young lady.
I have seen her on Facebook. And Bill says
she interviewed me too.
She wrote a book for teen carnivores.
What an amazing young lady.
She just said, "Can I interview?" I said, "Sure." She was my first in-person interview.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll find the date. I'm watching it now. Yeah, here's what her video from Hack Your Health. She's with Dr. Boz. I'd like to meet Dr. Boz. I've been watching her for a long time too. You know what got Dr. Boz started in the low carb stuff? Her mom was diagnosed with cancer. She was a physician. She's a doctor, an MD. And I think her mom got diagnosed with cancer. And she just turned over every stone, everything she could to try to help her mom live and survive. And as far as I know, her mom's still with us. I know her father passed away, but she was just dogmatic about trying to figure out metabolic health and all the stuff that she wasn't taught in medical school. And, she shared this information with so many people. She has a group that you can join, but her mom was diagnosed with cancer, and that just pretty much set her on fire to look at anything you can do to improve your metabolic health, to have just better overall health, less cancer, less strokes, all that stuff. So that was her, that's her story, really.
I wish that these people would have been out and about 10, 15 years ago when my parents had issues, because back in 2010, this didn't exist. And even though I knew instinctively, I told my dad when he got sick and weak, I said, "Dad, why don't you eat more meat? Why don't you have steak every day?" "Oh, it's not good for you." And I kept hearing this stuff. And for years, my dad used to say, even the lot that I own, he made me put his name on the deed along with mine, because he was convinced that he would outlive me. He really was convinced, because of my heart attack diet. And he's been gone for what? 13 years. My dad's been gone 13 years, and I'm still here, and I'm nowhere near that heart attack. I mean, it could happen at any time, but I don't have symptoms. So I don't know.
So I found the meetup for Charlotte, guys, and I don't mean to hijack the conversation here, but it's by Dr. Chris Granlund and Aaliyah English. I hope I'm saying her name right. It's Saturday, January 17th from 4 to 7. And it's going to be in Charlotte. It's a Brazilian steakhouse. So I guess I'll go, and that'll be my first time at a Brazilian steakhouse. So I'm going to go. I've already RSVP'd to. So that'll be cool for my first time at the Brazilian steakhouse. I've never done that. It's going to be cool.
It's nice.
But Saturday, January 17th, and the location is Estampa Gotcha Brazilian Steakhouse, 401 East MLK Jr. Boulevard, Charlotte. But Brian, I actually sent it to you. I think I sent it on Messenger. I don't know if you any way you can put it on the screen if you want to. I guess I could email it to you.
Yeah, if you could email it to me.
Let me do that. Well, let's see here.
So while
Anyway, you
we're
guys-
working on getting that up,
Yeah.
Rick, I know that you had some heartbreak with going to Hack Your Health over leaving Milton. And when you came back, Milton was doing great. So why don't you tell us how that went and how you feel about leaving him alone now, if you do something in the future here?
Well, ever since that Milton was given to me by my neighbor, I never left him. I mean, no other than to work. I mean, I do go away during the day, but I've never left him more than 10 hours at a time. And I had set up the camera system so I could watch him remotely. But of course, the stupid DVR broke the day before. And I was thinking, well, I got to leave him here. But I did get him to eat out of the cat feeder. He was not eating out of the cat feeder, but I put dried meat in there. And the day before I left, he actually ate out of the cat feeder. So I thought, okay, I felt better. And I left him with the water, the water feeder and the cat feeder. And I kept thinking, well, what is Milton going to do when I'm gone? Is he going to destroy the place? Is he going to freak out? Is he going to refuse to eat? Is he going to get sick? Is he going to lock himself in the room? So I put a piston in front of the door so that way he couldn't lock himself out of the room. And I just left. And I had no way of checking on him because the cameras didn't work. But when I got back, and it was Sunday night, I got back around almost midnight, because by the time the bus got back, it was after 9. Then I had to get the Metro Rail and then the Metro bus and then another Metro bus. And I opened the door and I heard burp, meow. And there he was. He was looking at me. So he did just fine. So if I have to go away for another one, I have a pretty good idea he'll be fine.
Okay. And
Cats tend to be
getting
pretty
ready
independent.
to
I understand.
share that.
I think so.
You wanted me to share that, right, Johnny? That screenshot.
Yeah. If anybody's in the area and interested, they may watch this on the replay or whatever.
All right.
Yeah. There, maybe not the best picture, but you can, at least you can see it. And if you watch this on the replay, you can screen grab it or something.
Yep. Yeah, it's a little. My glasses here. It's a little hard to read even with the glasses, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. I say that about my glasses. This is something I need to look into, I guess. But the other day, I took my glasses off and was looking up at the TV, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can see the TV pretty well." So I wonder if my eyesight has actually gotten better.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I've never
heard other people have.
I don't wear glasses.
Yeah.
That's the one area where I haven't really had much improvement. I used to have what they call floaters. Brian, you know what floaters are?
Yeah.
I had those really bad, and probably about a month into Carnivore, they went away, and I haven't had a single one since then. But my vision hasn't really improved. And my doctor, these are reading glasses, or cheaters, they call them reading glasses. They're bifocals because they're a different power for the top than the bottom. But I probably wear them too much. I should probably not wear them as often as I do. I've kind of gotten used to wearing them. But it tends to make your eyes weaker because it's doing the work for your eyes. He said if I would take these off and strain my eyes some, like work out my eyes, if we'll try to read small print without them, that will actually strengthen my eyes. So I probably need to work on that. But that's the one area of improvement that I haven't seen with the carnivore diet for me. And of course, I'm not the strictest carnivore like I should be.
Okay, so we have a question here. This is from Sherry. Why would eating mostly meat cause someone to be cold? I'm wrapped up in a blanket and I'm still freezing. So first of all, she is rather new to the carnivore diet. And I actually did want to plug her channel tonight. So I'm gonna, matter of fact, why don't I let one of you guys start to answer that? and I'm gonna bring up her channel so that I can share it.
Well, for me, Sherry, that I think one of the reasons you may be experiencing the cold symptoms, and this is just my thought. If you were eating a carb heavy diet before, like most of us were, and when you go low carb, keto, or carnivore, you lose a lot of water. I mean, you really start. I did. I had, I was losing 2 or 3 pounds a day because I was peeing out a lot of the water that my body was holding on to for those carbs, and so I had a little less insulation, if you will. I had a little less adipose or fat tissue around my muscles. And even though the scale didn't move a whole lot because I was gaining muscle as I was losing fat, I don't sweat anymore. I used to sweat profusely all the time. I would be sitting here and sweat just be running down my forehead. Having gone carnivore, I mean, I don't even sweat. Now, if I'm outside working really hard or sprinting or something like that in the heat, yeah, I'll sweat. But I've noticed that it seems like my thermometer, my thermostat, if you will, has been turned down several degrees. And the only thing I can attribute it to, and I may be 180 degrees off, is that you've lost so much water. You've kind of lost that insulation layer between the outside and the inside. What do you think, Rick? Am I probably on the right track there?
Yeah. Well, I'm the exception to the rule because I never get cold. It has to be 45 degrees or less for me to get cold. So I have a reputation for being hot-blooded. That's why it's so important that my air conditioner runs so cold. But on the other hand, if I'm not really moving much, I don't sweat much. But as soon as I start to expend energy, I mean, today I was sweating a lot. It was, low 80s or whatever. But when I get that effort, I was picking up that air conditioner. I had to move the torch and do all that work. I was sweating quite a bit. But then now I'm not. So it's about effort. I think what does happen to me, if I don't do anything, let's say that I sat in one place, didn't do anything, then I feel cooler. And then sometimes I'll actually fall asleep. So when I do feel cooler, I'm more likely to fall asleep. So I think it's just a matter of circulation. But for me, I've never felt cold. Everybody else I know gets cold before me.
And Grandma's Crochet Corner says, when I started carnivore, I was freezing all the time. Now it's gotten better over 1,000 days later. So could be that's kind of more of a early on type of thing. So on the screen here, you can see her channel. She's rather new and just starting to try carnivore. She's tried many other things before. And I say, let's go show her some support. I've been paying attention to her channel now for a couple weeks. I think I was like subscriber number 5, if I remember correctly. She's up to 95 now, so that's good. But she's had a lot of people helping her out, encouraging her and giving her some suggestions and so forth. She's new with carnivore and she's documenting the experience. And I think we should all give her some support. So I don't want to remove myself. I think this is the right thing. Yes, I didn't remove myself. Okay, good. Let me see. I think I don't have the banner, but let me put it in here. And it's actually a pretty easy name to remember, but it's at the Meat Movement. So you can go check out her videos that she's put out so far. And she's said that she hasn't been, as of a few days ago, she hadn't been quite fully carnivore yet. She was kind of transitioning and using up some of the food that she had, but she got rid of most of the processed foods already. So these are just things that are not fully carnivore yet that she's been using up. But let's go show her some support, if I could talk.
Yeah, that's one thing, Brian, I wish I would have done better. I didn't really start my YouTube channel and start documenting my journey till I was well into it. And I already had all pretty amazing results from the healing. But maybe with Sherry, since she's starting out kind of early, it'll be great for new people to watch and kind of go along the beginnings of the journey with her. So even if it doesn't apply to you, if you're watching this, you probably know somebody that's curious, that's what we call carnivore curious. And they could follow her and they could, she's still fairly new at it. Subscribe to her channel, watch her videos, watch her content, and kind of follow along and think if she can do this and she's seeing these results at this time, maybe you could too. And a lot of this may not apply to the people that are watching this channel, but if you'll, subscribe to her channel and share her videos, you never know who it'll reach out there. People maybe that, like, I share. If you guys follow me on Facebook, I'm Brian's hype man. Everything Brian puts out, I push, because I think Brian does a great job of making this relatable to the average person. He's not way up here like some of the doctors are. He just says, hey, this is what I do. This is what I've experienced. And I know that I've had people that have commented me back, said, thanks for sending me that link. Your friend Brian is doing a great job and he's motivating me. So you just have to share the content. You guys, if you subscribe to Rick's channel, Charger Mopar, a lot of this stuff, you share it, and well, you can't do this long term. Share Rick's channel with them. Let them watch. I was watching Rick's video earlier, and I know that Milton attacked him the other day and scratched his arm. The only reason I know that is because I watched his content. But that's just what I'm trying to say. We just need, like Brian and I were talking last week, and you guys may have seen this. I don't think you can have too many carnivore content creators, because a young 18-year-old girl is going to reach a completely different audience than me. When I go on my analytics of the YouTube algorithm, my audience is 45 to 55. That's where I have the most, and I have some greater than 55. 1 or 2% is younger, but a young person is not going to have a 55 or 60-year-old demographic. So we all need to support everybody coming in, if they're brand new or if they've been doing it for 42 years. So give her some love, subscribe. She's at 95. I think I was subscriber number 10 or 11. Brian told me about her. I went right then and subscribed and watched some of her content. And let's see if we can get up over like 120. Everybody go on there, go to her channel, hit the subscribe button, and watch her channel. Oh, one more thing too. Brian and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and we forgot. If you haven't already hit the like button when you're watching our live, if you do us a favor, we're trying to get this algorithm to pay attention to more carnivores and more carnivore content. So if you haven't, smash the like button. Help that algorithm push this type of content out. So if you will, subscribe to Sherry's channel and hit the like button for us. And with that, I'll shut up and let Brian and Rick talk.
All right. I missed something, I think, in the chat here. Peter's saying to George, you lost friends because of changing your way of eating. Are you serious? I guess I missed that in the chat. Wow. I mean, I guess that happens. Some people are really passionate. That's rough. That's why I am okay with being the only person in the house with being carnivore, because I still love my family, and I'm okay that they don't want to eat, the same way I do. So that's rough for people that don't want to. I'm sorry that happened, George.
Yeah, me too. But George, you're great, by the way. I love following you on Facebook. I love your stuff. You are an inspiration to me, and you always will be. And I don't care, as long as you do a meat-centric diet, or even if you went vegan, if you're still out there trying to encourage fellow human beings to get healthy, that's all this is about. We just got to get humanity healthier, because, man, we are on a collision. I saw a stat the other day, Brian, Rick, I don't know if you guys saw this. 1 in 4 8-year-olds has fatty liver in America. 1 in 4 8-year-olds.
Never saw that.
I mean, I'm gonna have so much work on the ambulance. I won't know what to do. But we need to pump the brakes and get people healthier. So push that content out there. And if somebody wants to do keto, our friend Greg, who I pretty much took Greg's place on here. Greg is a fantastic friend of mine and Brian. He's not 100% carnivore. He's done carnivore, but he actually did better and felt better and had a ton of success on keto. And I love Greg and his wife to death. And if keto is what works for him, that's what works. I struggle. I'm trying to be 100% carnivore, and I struggle. And maybe if I backed off to ketovore, I'd have more success. But as for right now, I'm going to continue to try to do strict carnivore, and I'm getting better. Life is throwing me a bunch of lemons lately, and I'm just trying to make some sugar-free lemonade.
Is that sugar-free lemonade carnivore, though? I'm just kidding.
No.
It's okay. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I have a question for Rick. Rick, so you instinctively started eating this way back in the 80s. We've talked about that's pretty well documented. And recently, Brian and I have gotten really interested in doing the fermented stuff. And then you told us, and I saw in your video today, you had that jar of yogurt in your fridge. Did you instinctively start doing ferments? I mean, the only reason Brian and I started doing it is because we saw Dr. Sean O'Mara doing it. What made you start doing fermented stuff? Was that instinctive, or was it why did you start doing ferments?
Well, there's actually a few reasons. First of all, one of our friends, the grandfather in the family, he lived, I think, to 110, and he ate yogurt every single day. It was a Greek family, and one of the things they always made was yogurt. I always liked the plain yogurt. I never liked the flavored yogurts. They always had the yogurts with the sweet, the fruit or whatever, and I'm not a big fan of that. And I stopped drinking milk at age 20 because I came up with this idea that once you get to a certain age, once you reach adult, you shouldn't be drinking milk. And I thought, but I like dairy, I like cheese, so yogurt is something that's easy to make. So that's what I did. I never really realized that there was any benefit to fermented foods, but again, we had the friend of ours that lived a long time, and my dad always believed in yogurt. Now, again, I rebelled against my dad's health food, but since yogurt was one of the few things that I actually enjoyed, then that's what I did. When it comes to the plant-based ferments, that actually started when I was on the plant-based diet. I didn't eat any of that stuff until about 93. And one of the things that one of my dad's friends, she was into the whole macrobiotic diet and the plant-based diet and whatever. And she told me, when you're eating a plant-based diet, it's beneficial to have fermented plant material because it'll help with your digestion. And I was suffering. I was eating the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts and the brown rice and all that crap. And I was getting gas all the time. I felt bad. I had headaches and everything. So she said, sauerkraut and kimchi are what you should eat. And there are many people that had used that as a way of feeling better. So I thought I'll try it. And I kind of liked the flavor. It was easy to make and it worked. So after 3 months, when the plant-based diet started to disagree with me, I added the fermented vegetables, and then it kind of brought me back up to a level. But eventually, over time, even that didn't work. So when I ditched the plant-based diet and I went back to the meat-based diet, I did keep in mind the idea of the fermented vegetables. And I kind of like the idea of having sauerkraut on the heart attack burger or with the heart attack chicken. So I began to add it. And by experimentation, there were a few times when I couldn't afford beef. We've had times in the past where it was hard to get, and I ate a lot of pork. I didn't feel 100%. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together. I said, you know what? When I can't eat all the beef that I want to eat, and I have to eat the pork and chicken, maybe I'll put the sauerkraut back in. And that worked. Then the other thing is, I'm a gardener. I love to grow different fruits and vegetables that I give away. And one of the things that I've done is to experiment. Which vegetables can I preserve through fermentation? Because a lot of times, like for example, you get tomatoes. They come regularly, but your onions are all at the same time. They're all ready to pick. And you can store them, but only for so long. And the same thing with the garlic. My dad was a big fan of garlic. He thought that it was really good for you. Of course, he smelled like garlic, which wasn't great. I can't stand the stuff. But I thought about maybe I could ferment that too. So I started taking different vegetables, leaves, and certain roots and stuff like that, like garlic and onions, which are not really roots because the roots on the onion is actually at the very bottom. The
Right.
part that's underground, the bulb, those are actually leaves. So garlic, onions, those things can be fermented because, they're not the same thing as a tuber. And I guess technically you could ferment them too. But a lot of roots, they tend to have toxins in them. So if you ferment them, it can actually make things worse. But that's what I did. So I started to experiment. And plus I had friends that they'd come over to eat and they want some kind of condiment. Obviously mustard is something that I can use. It doesn't bother me. But things like ketchup, for example, are loaded with sugar. They don't agree with me. So what I would do, I would ferment the tomatoes. I'd ferment onions and garlic and make my own sauce. And it didn't even have to be cooked. You could ferment this stuff, mix it all up, give it to them. It's like a dip. So if they're going to eat different meats, maybe they want to eat some plant food too. They can dip it in there and you get that same great taste instead of having to mix vinegar and sugar and tomato paste and all that. And that's
Sure.
where the ferments came from. And to this, I mean, you can see even my older videos, I mentioned that I do make sauerkraut, and also I make yogurt, and I make kefir. So those are different ferments. I use yogurt. I eat almost every day. Kefir, not all the time, but occasionally. And the fermented vegetables are only when I don't have enough beef. I've been eating more of them lately because beef has gotten hard to get. But when I eat beef, I generally don't eat them.
I got you. Well, cool.
And for
Thanks for that explanation. That makes a lot.
For anybody that's wondering about the fermented foods, the fermentation process takes out the plant toxins like the oxalates and so forth, as well as the carbohydrate. Oops, sorry about, I don't know what my computer said there, but as well as the carbohydrate. So it's like a neutral food. Anybody wondering?
Well, the thing about fermented foods, you're eating both plant and animal-based nutrition, because bacteria are basically like animals. If you think about it, they move around, they multiply. They're not plants. So they're eating the plants, and then they're putting out waste, which is an acid. The acid that they produce, it kills off things like botulism that can produce toxins that can kill you. So fermented foods are a very ancient way of preserving food. And the best thing is, it's safe. Now, it's an acquired taste. I've done things like fermented fish, and you probably know that smells absolutely horrible, but it's something that was used in ancient times in Rome. They had the sauce called garum, and that was made from fermented fish. The original ketchup was also made from fermented fish. And basically what you're doing, you're using the same process. You put it in the saltwater brine, and you let the bacteria do their job. They make it acidic. But again, if you've ever seen on the internet the surströmming challenge, they have the canned fermented fish, and when they open it up, it smells terrible, and everybody goes like, "Oh, it's so bad." And I think they even banned it, like on an airplane. They don't want you to open that because it'll stink up the whole cabin. But there are cultures that love fermented fish. I mean, think about it. The Swedes and Norwegians, they love that fermented fish, and it's a tradition.
Yeah, Mannix Gaming is saying right here, we eat fermented fish here. It smells decent, but tastes so good.
That's right.
I've
You see,
not had fermented fish myself.
the thing about fermented foods, you know how they put MSG on food, the monosodium glutamate, to make the food taste better? Fermentation does the exact same thing, but in a natural way. It brings out the glutamate that's already in the food. So fermentation is an ancient process. It allows you to preserve food, and when you mix it just right, it'll enhance the flavor. You could take foods that don't have a lot of flavor, add some fermented foods to it, and it really wakes it up. And I've noticed that with my duck food eating friends, because most of them, if they've been eating Doritos and stuff like that, they're used to the MSG. But if you make something and you put fermented foods in it, it really seems to have the same effect. I've even done that with things like regular fish. You make a steamed fish, or you make a baked fish, and you put fermented fish along with it, just enough to bring out the taste. And it doesn't smell bad, and they eat it. Now, this is the best fish I've ever had. And they don't realize that part of it is some juice from fermented fish. It's a really interesting process.
Yeah.
Rick, what about pickling? Like, I eat a lot of pickled jalapenos. I make this dish. You may have seen it, where I take a pound of ground beef and I brown it. Give me some sour cream, salt. The red is real salt, and some black pepper, and some sour cream in there. And then I put like a handful of pickled jalapenos in there and mix it all together. So it's kind of like a Mexican dish, if you will, or a Hispanic dish, because of the sour cream and the jalapenos. But they're not fermented; they're pickled. What's the difference between pickling and fermenting? And is pickling helping me at all?
Well, pickling is actually based on fermentation, because vinegar, acetic acid, is the most common liquid used for pickling. And you have to do that through fermentation. Vinegar is produced from basically wine using bacteria, or what they call mother of vinegar, which is a bacterial colony. So it eats that sugar and that alcohol, it breaks it down, and it turns into vinegar, which is acetic acid. The difference, of course, is that pickling is not going to really start to pre-digest the food. The only thing it does is acidify it, which makes it taste good. I mean, you take a cucumber, you put it in vinegar, and over time it becomes pickled. But you can also make fermented cucumbers, and I've done that too. The traditional fermented pickles, and they work best with the little ones, or you can cut them in slices. You put them in salt water and you let them ferment the same way that you do sauerkraut. For some people, the pickling does a really good job because, again, like you said, when you put plant material like that in an acidic environment, it's almost like you're pre-digesting it. And I know some of the lectins that are present in plant material break down in the presence of acid. So it is possible, because my mother, for example, she told me when she was pregnant with me and didn't feel good, one of the things that she craved intensely was pickles. And every time she had pickles, that nauseous feeling would go away. So it goes to show that there is something in there. And I've heard people say this many times. Many people that were pregnant, they crave pickles. And even my mom, if I did make her a hamburger, which didn't have a lot of meat in it, it had to have pickles. So I would buy the pickles in a jar, but eventually I started making my own. And I did it through the lactofermentation process, which is basically salt water. Now, by the way, using vinegar to pickle is much faster. You can make them on an industrial scale. You can make pickles in a matter of hours. If you use the fermentation process, it could take weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
So theoretically, then I could make fermented jalapenos, right?
Yes. And I do make fermented peppers. I have a friend that is seriously a masochist when it comes to chili. So when we make a chili, he wants a chili so hot that you got to call the fire department. And I grow Scotch bonnet peppers and habaneros. And I'm sure you've heard of the Carolina Reaper version of habanero.
Oh, yeah.
I grow those. They are intense. However, a lot of times I want to enjoy chili along with him. And I am not going to eat that raw, nasty habanero that burns your mouth and all that. So I take the same peppers and I ferment them. I ferment them for a month. And then what I do, if I'm going to eat chili with him, I make his chili with the raw peppers, and I take the same meat and the same fermented sauce, add the fermented peppers in there. And let me tell you, it is very enjoyable. And I have to admit, as a carnivore, I'm not a big fan of peppers, but when they're mellow like that and they're mixed together, it really does improve the flavor.
Wow. Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't mind experimenting doing some fermenting stuff. My wife's all about canning. During the pandemic, we got really big into canning because we go to the store and there was very little on the shelves for a little while. So my wife got serious about canning, but she did some of the water bath canning, but then she ordered, and they were sold out forever, but we finally got one of those electric pressure canners. And so we've got a lot of cans. She cans chicken and pork and beef and roast for me. And then she cans, carrots and potatoes and beans and things for her. So I might look into doing some of my own fermenting like you do. That would be a cool little hobby to get started, and then I could enjoy it,
Yeah. Well, the best thing to do, try the cabbage, try fermenting sauerkraut. It's very easy. It is almost impossible to mess it up. If it smells really bad and tastes bad, it's no good. But you just get a good quality salt. I like to use the rock salt that they sell for ice cream makers because it has no additives. And you throw that in a blender and you grind it up and then mix it with the water. You can mix it all right there in the blender, dump it into a container, and just stuff it with a bunch of shredded cabbage and let it ferment. I use those jars that have the glass lid and they have the silicone gasket, and you can let out the pressure every now and then. They won't explode. And it's easy. And if you like sauerkraut, which I'm sure you probably do.
I do. I love it.
There you go. And you're going to find out when it's so simple, whether you grow the cabbage yourself. I guess you could buy the one in the store, which I don't do. I tend to grow my own. But I was growing cabbage just to feed the ducks. And I would let the bugs eat the cabbage. Then I open the door or let the ducks go in there, eat the bugs and the cabbage and everything. But now I'm still growing cabbage. I don't have any ducks. I just cover with a screen to keep the bugs out. And I'll shred them up and I'll make sauerkraut. In fact, I do need to make some more pretty soon. I still have 2 big containers of it. I don't use that much of it. But lately, I haven't been eating much beef. I've been eating pork and chicken. So I've been having sauerkraut with every meal. And I'll tell you, it really works. If I don't eat it and I just eat pork and chicken, I don't have the energy and I don't feel as good. And I think my immune system goes down. But when I add the sauerkraut to it, and I also ferment banana flowers, And I haven't done it lately, but I'm going to start fermenting some onions because I do like to add fermented onions to the sauce that I make for my friends. And again, this is one of the very few sauces that's not cooked. It's basically a raw mixture of fermented foods. And then when you make a chili, I cook the meat, but then I add the sauce uncooked and it heats up along with the meat. So I'm sure it's loaded with bacteria and no one's ever gotten food poisoning from it.
So, Rick, I got to ask you, there's a lot of comments going in the chat about how you're such a good speaker and so forth. And somebody said, did he used to work in radio or something like that? Have you ever?
No. I've had a lot of people say that I had a radio voice. I was a teacher. I taught at Miami-Dade College. I taught electronics and computer repair.
Okay.
But I've never been in any kind of entertainment or radio or anything like that. But again, people have told me this for years. When I used to build phone systems, most of my customers requested me to make the voice menus because they said that I had the perfect voice for it. So people would call and they call me for tech support and they say, I recognize your voice. Are you the one that's the announcer for the phone system? I said, yes, we build the phone systems ourselves and I make the voice. A lot of customers have requested my voice. We have a generic voice that we could get, but they didn't like it. They preferred mine. But no, I've never been on radio.
Interesting. Well, everybody thinks you do have a good radio voice.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, one of the things also they were saying, which I think is interesting, and I think it goes back to how long you've been on Carnivore, really, been eating, that way, that basically you are very quick on answering things. You don't delay, have to think about it. You don't do a lot of ums and stuff like that's me all like crazy. I'm here like always saying, well, let me think, but you don't do any of that stuff. And, it's that quick mind from being on Carnivore for so long.
And that's another reason I don't think I've ever had a work accident. A lot of people I know, they delay. When something is going wrong, they either go into shutdown mode or they go the wrong way. And I've seen people get hurt, drop things on their foot, things fall over. I react very quickly. A lot of times something's going wrong, I get out of the way. I've avoided a lot of accidents. In fact, the only time I've really had a car accident is when I wasn't moving. When I was sitting at a light, somebody rear-ended me or somebody lost control. But when I'm on the road, when I'm doing things, I don't really have mishaps. I think a lot of it has to do with the way my brain works. I can solve problems and I can avoid getting frustrated. Now, there are times when I get frustrated when someone doesn't give me the option. They get in my way or they put rules that don't allow me to succeed. Then I get frustrated and I'll usually tell them off. But when I'm in a situation where I have options, I always seem to find the option that works the best. That may be, I don't know if it's Carnivore. When I was a kid, I was not that way. I used to have a bad temper. I'd get frustrated and do the wrong thing. So I think the Carnivore diet does have something to do with it. Plus the fact that I had about a C average in junior high, and in high school I had a straight A average. And I had an A average in college as well. Maybe that is part of it.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Georgia Ede has, written that book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. And all the research is showing now that if you get the kids off the sugary, ultra processed foods, they tend to, there's no more ADHD, there's no more ADD. They pay attention better, they learn better, they sleep better. So, I mean, it just stands to reason the fact that Rick has never had his brain be so inflamed from all the duck food out there that's why at 57 years old, he still has that quick response with his brain, reflexes and so forth, because he's never had to unclog his brain. It's kind of been running optimally for 42 years.
Yeah. Now, I've interviewed Rick a couple times on my channel, so I think I'm fairly good with the whole story. And I think some things we can point out, you were lacking confidence. You were short. So you were getting angry quickly. You were a C student, and then you switched to eating all meat, and all of a sudden you grow a lot. I mean, it's so funny looking at all the Hack Your Health pictures. Is like, wow, look at what happens when you eat the proper human diet your entire life, how much taller and healthy you look compared to everybody else. But, you know, then you become an A student in high school and college. You get more patience. All of these things come into play. You're very flexible at your age, you know. I mean, it's just amazing what all that has done for you.
That's right. And when people see me work and I sit like this, they just can't figure it out. Even younger people. How do you do that? How do you get up? And I just stand up instantly. Like, wow, I can't believe it. Yeah. Some people tell me I'm like a cat. And I say, that's good because I eat the same thing my cat does. What, Milton?
Hey, Brian,
So we got an interesting question here. Yeah, what?
Oh, I was just going to say real quick, the little video that you and I did a couple of nights ago, I think you put it out today about what went wrong with the food. And we talked about the supplement industry and all that stuff. So my wife and I were watching that earlier. She didn't get to watch it earlier, so we watched it earlier. And she noticed, she said, your skin looks amazing. My skin, I mean, for almost 60 years old, I mean, I still got some wrinkles up there, but even my wife noticed that my skin looks better than it ever has. I mean, something as simple as that. And my skin I used to have blotches everywhere, but I mean, for somebody almost 60 years old, that's when, and look at Rick's skin. I'd love to have Rick's skin and his coloration and his hair. But anyway, yeah, so even something as insignificant or seemingly insignificant for a 60-year-old man as your skin is, yeah, my wife said, you see, your skin looks great. And I never had really paid attention to that. I didn't mean to derail. You were going to say what, Brian? There was a question.
Yeah, there's a question, but Milton came to see us. So everybody say hello to Milton. There is a question. This is an interesting question. And I'm not even sure how to answer this myself. So Rick, we're going to see what you think first. What do you guys think of the future of carnivore in 30 to 50 years?
Well, probably I'll be around for the next 30 years, next 50 years. I'm not sure. But I don't think the carnivore diet is ever going to be the major diet, and it shouldn't be because we simply don't have enough meat. We're not ready for it. What I would like to see is the carnivore community continue to be an option. But I do not think the carnivore diet will ever be the dominant diet. It never has been throughout history, and it will not be until we can figure out a way to produce enough meat so that more people. So we're going to have to do one of two things. We either got to reduce the population or we got to figure out how to make more meat. And it may be a combination of both. Ideally, I would love to see at least one part of the world where most of the people were carnivore, because I think that would be the part of the world that had the most progress, the highest standard of living, and the least amount of pain and suffering. But the way people are and the way they follow their leaders and they do what they're told, I do not think the carnivore diet will be dominant. But I do think that it will remain a part of the community. And I think we're going to be out there. Some of us, like I said, 30 years, I think I'll still be here. I'll be 87. So I'll be around. I figure I'll live to like 90 something and then kick the bucket. 50 years, that's for the younger ones. We'll see how they do. But I think it'll be around, but I don't think it'll ever be the mainstream.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's fighting mainstream. What do you think about that, Johnny? And there's another question, by the way, after that I got to go back to that I missed. Sure. This was about 20 minutes ago, so I apologize, but we're going to get to your question next. Go ahead.
So I'm going to disagree with Rick just a little bit. Rick, when I first became a truck driver, which I drove a tractor trailer for about 11 years, the first time I got sent, there's this highway in Missouri called Avenue of the Saints. I don't remember what the highway number is, but it goes from St. Louis all the way through. And so it's about 100 miles of this 4-lane road. And as far as you could see to the left and as far as you could see to the right for 100 miles was corn, 6, 8, 10 feet tall. It's corn, like millions of acres of corn. And I thought, look at all this corn. I didn't know that much corn existed in the world. I get to the end of the road, finally, where it comes into an interstate. There was this huge, huge ethanol refinery plant. Every bit of that corn, literally probably 1 million acres or better, was used for ethanol that we burn in our cars. If you took all of the farmland that's dedicated to growing ethanol for fuel, and I'm not against that. I'm just saying if you could repurpose a lot of that land and put livestock out there, whether it be sheep, cow, buffalo, whatever, I'm not saying we'd have enough meat at that time to feed the entire population. But that's just in one state and one area and in one country. I think if we could repurpose a lot of the land that's just, in my opinion, could be better spent, that might help improve the supply of meat. And say it doesn't have to be beef; it could be lamb, it could be buffalo, it could be anything like that, deer, any type of ruminant. But Rick's probably right. He's probably more right than I am because he usually is. But I think the community will grow. I think that we can't keep going the way we are. Rick mentioned population reduction, and that's what's going on right now.
That's right.
I'm in the business of taking people to nursing homes and to hospice. I had 2 patients die in my ambulance last week. One was 36, one was 44. They died from non-alcoholic fatty liver. These were not alcoholics. These are people that have a very, very bad diet. Neither one of them had any children because they've been so sick in their childbearing years, they didn't reproduce. And if I see that one ambulance in one town in 1 week, multiply that across the entire West, not just the US, but other parts of the West as well. The fertility rates are down. Sperm rates in men, sperm count is almost nothing. So we're just not having kids. Now, the one population that's having children like crazy, they average 10 children per family, is the Amish.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what they eat? A lot of meat, they eat vegetables, but they're not sprayed with glyphosate and Roundup. And they eat a lot of raw milk and they eat raw dairy. And they're pumping out 10 kids per family. So I think in 30 to 50 years, I think it'll be a bigger percentage of the population than it is now, I hope, because the vegans, they don't reproduce. They can't because they're just not healthy enough. And if they do, it's a very limited amount of children per family. So I think, it'll be twice what it is now. That's great. But you're still only talking, what, Rick, maybe 4% of the world population if you double it from what it is now.
You have to realize that the Amish are a rural population. They don't live in cities. City life is detrimental. And if I lived in a big city, I wouldn't. Of course, I don't have any kids anyway because I'm not interested. But I would never want to raise a family in a city. They want to warehouse these people in these apartment buildings. That is not. And I think that people should not reproduce because they could starve them of a potential labor source. But in order for people to produce really nice families, they need to live in the country. And we have to get rid of this whole stack and pack mentality. Now, I'm not against cities. I do believe that some younger people could benefit from living in a city, like when they're going to college, when they're developing their career. That's one thing. And a lot of older people that are senior citizens, they may not want to be out there working in a yard or working on a farm or whatever. They may want to just go to a city, and that's fine. But my biggest complaint is that we're building these crap apartment buildings, which I find disgusting. They're like boxes. They're these stupid boxes that are painted black, white, and gray. They are just a depressing place to live. You're just warehousing people. It's the same way they talk about warehouses full of chickens that are thrown in there or pigs that are thrown in a building. That's what they're doing to the people. And if you do that, you're going to destroy their mental state. You have nothing to really live for. I mean, you could go and get some entertainment, maybe go on a vacation. But that's not the normal way to live. If you're going to build a city, you need to build a city that has quality, like classic style buildings. It has open parks. You have maybe a river, a beach, some kind of attraction where the people can leave their apartment, go outside. It would be like New York Central Park or something like that. And you can get in touch with nature. Maybe you could go out on the ocean. So if you're going to build cities, you don't want to make the city so big that it's just a giant warehouse for a bunch of people. You want to make it a size where the city interacts. Why is it there? Is it a center of trade? Is it a center of manufacturing? Is it whatever? And then you have the small towns in the rural areas. Some people prefer to live in a small town. They may want to live in a small house in a small town. Maybe they're retired. Maybe they live in an apartment building. Well, that apartment building should be designed to look nice. You should have details. It should be something that looks inspiring, not a box. Putting somebody in a box is no good. Now, for those of us that live in the country, there's nothing wrong with living in a box. I don't mind living in a box. I'll build my own concrete box, but it's going to be surrounded with rocks, and I have windows. And as soon as I leave my box, I walk outside. I'm on the grass. I'm on the ground. I'm looking at the trees. That's fine. But I think a lot of it is just a corporate mentality. It's all about how can we make the most profit. We don't care about the living standards of the people. We don't care if they're healthy. We don't care if they're inspired. We just want them to follow the system, go into debt so we can extract wealth out of them, just like cattle. And that's really what I'm against. So that, to me, besides a diet, I think that lifestyle is really important.
Yeah. Okay, before I go to that other question I was talking about, Carnivore Dan, really quick, he says that he and Karen were the first to recognize Rick at the registration
Yes,
desk. And by
that
the
is
way,
correct.
Carnivore Dan, you are not a peon.
No.
I watch, I like watch or reading, I guess, your content, looking at your content on Facebook. I don't know if you have YouTube channel or not, but I know you have Facebook at least, and I look at that content. And I think it's very important to say that all of us in this community are very important. None of us are peons. We're all important. We're all helping to get the grassroots effort word out there and everything. And we all have some kind of an experience that somebody else might relate to. So we're all very important. Now let me go to that question, because I'm like a half hour behind on their question. I'm so sorry. Lizzie asked if your subs went up after you went to the meetup. Your subscriber
Not
list.
really. I can look at it now. I think I still have about 3,700. I think I gained maybe 100 people, and that's it.
Okay. I think I'm caught up on questions.
I get excited when I gain 5 people.
Well, but this was in the whole month. I think I gained about 1 a day, maybe 2. So 30 people in a month is normal for me. My channel just grows very, very slowly. It's like a slow growing tree. And when you have a slow growing tree, it tends to be a stronger one, because I don't lose a lot of subs either.
Right.
Yeah. And I think when it's more slow growing like that, a lot of those people are the people that are going to be communicating with you more and so forth. And I think you see that, like, anytime you're on a live, you have lots of people come from your channel and communicate and so forth.
Well, that's the thing. You see on my live stream, I have about, I think, 42 people right now watching on my channel. And you notice in the comments, look at how many of them are coming from my channel. And it's the same thing. I see the same people on Saturday when I have my live stream. I tend to attract the best people. That's the one good thing that I've always noticed. I don't have a lot of problems with people, because the ones that are looking to scam you or to do whatever, manipulate, they stay away from me. They see me, they're like, I don't want to be around this guy. But the ones that want to communicate, the ones that want to help, they seem to come towards me. And I really like that.
Yeah. You're an easy guy to get along with as well. So
yeah, once you get to know me,
people can relate. I think people can relate to you too. Everybody looks up to you too. It says, wow, couldn't I have been Carnivore for 42 years, right?
Well, they did look up to me in person. They're like, I didn't realize you were that tall.
There you go. Yeah, that too.
I'll admit, I was kind of surprised when I saw the pictures of how much taller Rick was than everybody else.
And it's a lot of times with the stories that I tell, people think that I'm totally out there, that all the things I'm saying are made up. But when they see me and they see me in person, it's like, no, he's telling the truth.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, so I'm a pretty tall guy. Most of the people I'm around, I'm taller than. But if I was next to Rick, he would definitely be taller than me. You got me by a couple of inches. So.
And the weird thing is I haven't shrunk over time. Some of the people I know, of course, they have back issues. That may be part of it. I had a theory as well. I believe that since I'm relatively healthy, that my circulation's really good. I don't have any problems. So the little discs in my back, they stay nice, and they're not shrinking. So I'm not getting any shorter. I'm actually a little bit taller than 6'6". I'm maybe 6'6.5", but I just say 6'6". My height has not changed. And some of the people that I met, they say, you got to be taller than 6'6", because Dr. Baker's 6'5", and you're more than an inch taller than him. So
yeah,
crazy.
So Dr. Nelson looked like a hobbit standing next to her. I'm not going to get that image out of my mind now. It's true though. That's so funny. Oh. All right. So let's see. It's getting close to an hour and a half. If anybody else has any questions, now's a good time to ask them. Just put a capital Q in the front. And I will go a few more minutes here just to see if there are any more questions. Anything else, Johnny, that you want to ask Rick?
Well, I was going to ask you something real quick, Brian.
Okay.
One last update. You sent me a message, and I don't know if I don't want to out you or anything, but you sent me a message earlier today that you tried something you haven't done in about 7 weeks. Can you talk about that just for a minute?
Yeah, sure. So for the people that know my story, it was 7 weeks, right? 7 weeks ago today, Johnny and I did a collaboration together, and we did some sprinting. And on the last sprint, I fell and I tore my hamstring. Pretty bad tear. And I've been recovering. And I think the recovery has gone pretty good, pretty well, pretty quickly. But it's funny, just a couple days ago, Johnny and I were talking, and you asked me if I had thought about running yet, because I've been doing like exercise bike and stuff like that, you know, getting some strengthening going. And I was like, man, I don't know about running yet. You know, like it's supposed to be like 2 to 3 month recovery and all this stuff. But it got me thinking. And today I said, you know what? I'm going to try. Just not a very long one. It's about 10 yards, so about 30 feet. And I didn't run really hard, but I did run. A nice light run and didn't have any pain. So that was my first time running 7 weeks. So it took me 7 weeks to get to the point of being able to run. It's supposed to be a 2 to 3 month recovery. And that just shows the power of carnivore and recovery of carnivore. So that's my story.
And I think that gets back to what Rick was talking about. Right. The same reason that your leg healed so quickly is the same reason Rick's spine hasn't shrunk. The disc in his back haven't shrunk because of the increased circulation. When your body's trying to heal, it needs nutrients. It needs to be able to bring oxygen in. It needs all that stuff. Well, when you have reduced circulation because you eat a lot of duck food, you're going to heal slower. Your discs are going to degenerate. We've all heard of degenerative disc disease. When you fix your circulation, the inside of your veins and your arteries, the tunica intima of your veins and your arteries, and you get that blood and oxygen going where it needs to go, one, you're less likely to have an injury. And two, if you do, your body is able to fix itself faster because it has a superhighway bringing the repair parts to it. So I just thought that would be interesting to talk about and kind of put a period on the whole leg injury thing for a while, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. It's been less than 2 months and I pretty much healed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never would have thought that. I didn't expect that at all.
Look at how many people talk about that they had back pain before, but on carnivore it went away. And that's even before they lost a lot of weight. See?
Yeah, that's me.
Yep. Yeah.
And you know what?
Rick,
That's a good point, was saying before they lost a lot of weight. Because I had back and hip pain before I started carnivore. I couldn't sleep in bed for more than a couple of hours. And within a couple of weeks on carnivore, I was sleeping in bed all night.
See?
And I hadn't really lost a whole lot of weight yet at that point.
That's right.
Yeah. My plantar fasciitis, which was the reason I went on carnivore to try to lose a little bit of weight to help the plantar fasciitis. I maybe lost 5 pounds. I was 325 pounds. I just lost a little bit of weight. I woke up one morning exactly 2 weeks after I started carnivore, and I was blown away. My feet didn't hurt. I took about 3 or 4 steps because it was in the morning when I realized that my feet didn't hurt. And from that day to now, they haven't hurt at all. The lower back pain that I had, I couldn't sit in the same position. I couldn't drive for long periods of time without stopping. I haven't had a smidge, not a smidge of back pain in 2.5 years. And I shudder to think what my back would be like now had I not gone carnivore.
See?
Yep. And there's lots of people putting comments in here about having back pain or whatever other pain that went away or improved greatly by going on carnivore.
That's the thing that people don't understand. Everybody blames the weight for their problems. But I try to tell people being overweight is not necessarily an illness. It's just an effect of a lifestyle. You could be healthy and be overweight. Think about people who are bodybuilders. They're overweight. they should be healthy, but a lot of them use the wrong substances. But some of, it's technically possible. I know a lot of people that have lived into old age that were overweight, and they still lived into their 80s. One lived into his 90s. He was overweight, but he wasn't that unhealthy. But you could be skinny and be unhealthy. I know people that are thin. They have nothing but aches and pains and problems and infections and all that stuff. So just changing your diet. I mean, look, your back pain goes away and you haven't even lost that much weight. It makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, we are at an hour and a half. This is where we typically end the show. Quick note, next Wednesday, we are not going to have a live stream. It's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm actually going to be driving down to South Carolina. So we decided let's get off for Thanksgiving. So we'll be back the following Wednesday. But Rick, thank you for joining us again. I think this is the third or fourth time we've had you on with us. It's always a great conversation when you're on. And anything, Rick, that you want to say here before we drop off?
Well, as you know, I do my live on Saturday morning. Although this Saturday morning, I may have to change the schedule because there's a ham radio flea market down the street. And I want to go to that. So I may have to delay it or move it around. But I'll be on one way or the other. So if you don't see me in my usual couch, you may see a live where I'm out there driving the van over there to the university to hit the Hamfest flea market. But I'm going to try to be there one way or the other.
All right.
Cool.
Johnny, anything you want to add real quick?
No, my plan is to get up tomorrow and go run some sprints. I had a really, really long week at work, and I was going to do that today, but I just slept in. I needed to decompress a little bit from work. So I'm going to get up in the morning and go run some sprints. I probably won't film all of them. I'll just film like the last two and trying to break the record in my 50-meter dash. I'll put up a video tomorrow about that. And I got some other subject matter I'll talk about. So I hope to have a video out tomorrow afternoon.
All right. So thank you. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Milton.
Bye, Milton.